Yeah, welcome to another RC Tune Talks, and I've had this stuff running for 4.5 months now, solidly, non-stop, and this is like my go-to vehicle. And if I had to choose one vehicle out of the entire lot of RC I've got, if I had to choose one, this would be it, hands down, hands down. And I'm gonna explain why, and I'm gonna go in detailed stuff I've done, and why this little unit you see here right now, this is not just only a fun unit, but it's also competitive, meaning it will run up against the highest of even touring cars, minis, all that stuff, despite it carries a smaller power unit. And you know, I'll explain all the details I've done, and you know, if you're a owner of one of these things, what you can do. And right now there's no cons regarding this unit. I've gone through everything thoroughly and found whatever weakness there is and dealt with it, and that's what I'm gonna share with you. And even after the upgrades, the only weakness I found was the front tire, and I'm gonna explain to you how my remedy came about to solve the front tire issues. And I'm gonna explain why, because I run this mainly on track asphalt, and it eats tires a lot. But before I get into that, I want to point out all the upgrades I've done so far, and I'm gonna take the cab off. Yeah, as you notice, there's, you know, 2 power capacitors for storing, you know, and it does work. I run the Aromax 3200 milliamp. That's my biggest battery pack. I've got others, and when I run that, I get a flat out 26 minutes run, and I mean flat out. I don't ease up off the throttle. And even if I'm, you know, in my driveway or a parking lot, if I'm not on a truck, I drive it as if I'm on a track, meaning not just figure 8 or circles, but I brake, I slow down, I turn, I do chicane style maneuvers, all that stuff, as if I'm actually racing. So I push it to the limit, you know, I run it flat out for the full duration, and that's how I run this vehicle. Now, as you can see, I've done my own, you know, painting of the engine, and this is where I keep my speed control. I run the quick run, the BL30 hobby wing, waterproof, and yes, I've run it in wet weather also, and no problem. I've never had no issues. I mount my receiver on the outside, which is the Noble NB4, you know, system I run. So this is the FGRS4 receiver. It's waterproof, so everything's waterproof. My motor, no, this is the trick. This is a real powerhouse. This is the Losi Acceleron, and my trick to get a long run time, it has very great acceleration and very great top speed on tracks. It's the 9800 kV. No, I do not run it to the fullest kV. What I've done is that the setup I've got, I run a 17-tooth pinion, meaning I use like a adapter for the shaft and run a normal 17-tooth pinion. You get this with an 18-tooth or a 19-tooth. Originally it comes with the 18. I dropped it down a pinion, keeping the stock spur gear, which is 54 tooth. Now what I've done is I've halved the transmitter once I've done the setup. So I'm running my transmitter at 50%, which this vehicle still stands up to others and run against others. And if I want, I can push it more, really push it to, you know, at a super speed. And my setup, it handles on the track, whatever track it sits properly. I keep the stock setting because there's nothing more, you know. I'm fine with the stock arms. I won't upgrade the arms. It's great quality. But I've got the upgraded shock tower, the alloy shock tower. This is a metal shock tower, but I run the inside hole, so you know, it doesn't really compress that easy, but it leans in corners. You know, the suspension works. Now I've changed the shocks, and these are the Tamiya shocks, and I'm running 50 weight oil in it with the soft springs. Yeah, and I've run the long ball end inside. Yeah, so what I've done, I've taken out the ball end from the original shocks and put in the ball end of the Tamiya and put it on the inserts, I mean. So that's that. I've put a little carbon fiber over my, you know, the braces, and I've got another roll cage, and I've put an additional one here because there's none that comes with this. So just to point out some of the external upgrades you can see right now, I've upgraded the shock tower, yeah, and I've also upgraded the metal mount. I've taken off the plastic one and put the metal one. So that's it. Mine is the one with the steel gears, and let me tell you, these steel gears are well made. I have run it, the differential, everything, and it still stands, and it's well maintained, and I've pulled it down once just to check, and it's perfect. And try not to lock it up, leave it. Yeah, I run it quite loose, very loose, very loose, very loose, you know, so it's fine. Just keep it well lubed, and once you've lubed it properly, that's fine. So this is my personal setup with the power capacitors, upgraded shock tower, metal mount, and I've also upgraded the motor mount. It's a metal one which we won't be able to get inside. So to get to the inside, I remove, you know, the receiver, no problem for me, and then I remove the clips. Now what I've done with the clips for easy removal is that I've got Gorilla Tape and cut it quite thin, and just so you can see. So this is the setup. So I just put in, and when I want to release, I just squeeze it in, and out comes, you know, that's it. And then I simply remove, and no problem, that's the cab. What I've done with the cab is put a little bit of Velcro in the top so the head of the rider doesn't damage too much from the bubbling. But yeah, and I decided to give a, you know, I know it's got Italian flag colors, you know, but originally it's a Castrol design, and I want to give it an old school kind of feel. Now this vehicle is tough, and it's a warrior. It's well made. As you can see, the battle scars, and believe me, I've got it airborne. You know, sometimes it's just skins a little stone, but I've made it strictly for on-road setup. Yeah, and also just to point out another upgrade I've done, I've put the adjustable turnbuckles. Yeah, but you also can create your own turnbuckle by getting your ball in, and you know, get at least 20mm turnbuckle maximum, depending on the ball end you use. So this is the option turnbuckles. So I would suggest that to get the best performance, you know. All right, I've done past videos before, and there's a video explaining the modification I did to the mainframe and to accept the standard size mini servo. And I've also changed the servo arm. I've created my own and put a little bend of titanium turnbuckle and add some ends. Yeah, and another upgrade I've done, it's the metal steering posts. So these are just the rubber for the battery, you know. So yeah, it's the metal servo post, steering post, sorry. And I've created from our Tamiya parts tree. I just made a little handle for the rider, and as you can see, I've painted him. So my upgrades are steering posts, metal motor mount inside, the shock tower, metal holder, the metal arm and suspension holder inside, and also the optional turnbuckle, you can adjust it. I've put on my own shocks, Tamiya shocks, and what I've done also is put a little spacer, like a millimeter spacer behind it, so the shock cap doesn't rub on the shock tower. Create my own aesthetics, put on a little sticker stuff on the muffler, and it's easily accessible. Now, what I found out also, these are the original rear tires I've been running since December actually, so these are still going well. Now, what I've found out, except in truly wet weather, you're running on some asphalt or carpet, the more the tire gets bald, it sticks, and that's what I found out. So it's quite soft, but it doesn't really balloon to the, you know, the speed I'm running, where the motor is at. You know, it doesn't balloon out. But there's another set of tire I've got, and I'm gonna strap those to avoid the ballooning and see how it operates. But this, it works very well, even on a dusty asphalt track or, you know, parkway or whatever. But it works really well. So the more the tire rubs down, is the better it grip. Not in wet weather, but dry asphalt, tarmac running, and it works well on carpet too, you know. So yeah, you know, these tires been going non-stop, working quite well. Now onto the front, and this is where I want to share this with you all. And this is the original spring setup. There's a spring in both arms, and then you've got this external spring. And make sure when you clamp the front wheel, you can get that free movement, because if it's too tight, you won't get that free movement, and you want to have this free movement. Don't worry about lubing inside, it's fine. But I've pulled mine down, clean it, and just make sure you have that free movement. Now, as you notice, this isn't the original tire. What this is the tail wheel of a plane. Yep. And it's one of those foam, not foam, but get the rubber ones. Do not get any with a plastic insert. Get one with aluminum insert, and you need to get one with like 1 3/4 inch, you know, say 45 millimeter in size. And all you need to do is drill the hole a little bit bigger to 4 millimeter to accept the axle, and you'll be fine. Because if you run this on asphalt, you're gonna be eating out tire constantly. Because just to point out, I've gone through tires rapidly. I was trying to make something with this one. This is the original tire. Then this is one I bought, and I did a kind of recap of the tire, getting an old bicycle tire, cutting it and glue it. This one held up, but I like my things to be tidy and have a kind of look, and it didn't really look appealing to me. This is the aftermarket one I bought, again the option one, which is a bit larger. This is the large front tire, and I cut a bicycle tube, put over it. It's eaten out already, and I have to recap it. You know, it didn't work well, so that's when I found out, why not try the tail tire now? The best one to use, which is a full rubber and will last your ages and works well, it's the Dubro airplane tail wheel. Dubro airplane tail wheel. It's a very good quality rubber, and you need to get the 1 3/4 inch one. In other words, 44, 45 millimeter, and just drill a hole and install. This is a different brand, but I've tried this and it works pretty well. So I've just decided to run this one out, and once it's, you know, done its time, I'll continue using the Dubro. And I've got another spare one, and I also have another spare wheel which I'm not even sure if I'm gonna use. Yeah, so I'm just giving an in-depth, you know, not even review but update after 4.5 months of intense running. I run this vehicle constantly, really hard, and I know I've put more than 50 battery packs through it, flat out. You know, I've know way over 50. You know, when I say I've run this vehicle hard, and it's stand up to the test of time, it's taken a tumble, it's taken a roll, everything, and it stands still. And I've put a chassis protector underneath, And also I've changed quite a few screws, and if you notice I've made a little homemade skid guard underneath, you know. So yeah, the only screws are the original screws are the motor ones, and a few that held the Mach engine together. But overall, I love it. I enjoy it every time I take it out, even if I run it twice for the day, you know, full battery packs. I enjoy every moment. It's fun, and also it's very competitive at the same time. It's agile, it's fast, it's stable, and it's a well-made unit. And with my personal upgrades, it's, you know, it's just enhanced the performance. And you also, if you've got one or interested in getting one, I recommend, and if you've got one, you can either get an idea from my upgrade or do your own upgrade. And once I've set it up, I haven't touched it or done anything more to it, and this is how I feel comfortable. I've done all the relevant setup and upgrades, and it's just down to me when I decide I want to change the cab and give it a fresh look. I might re-spray this, or I might just leave it and get another cab at some point, and the wing, and just keep going. So this is my setup. Hobby wing, turning on the side, and I recommend anything from a 4,500, you know, or just get a 4,500, 4,800. X-Rider has one, or you can get any brushless. I've got a little longer than normal one. This is a 24x36, because the longer it is, it gives a lot more torque also. So that's one of the advantage. But that's my setup right there. Tips, tricks, whatever you want to call it. And this steel gear, bulletproof, it's bomb proof. I thought I would have damaged it already, but no, you know. So yeah, and how I get this to hold in, I've got some dummy Mach a fire extinguisher, so I've just used the fire extinguisher holder, and then I put the power caps inside, you know. And this is just my personal setup, you know. Yeah, so there you have it. And like I say, if you run it on asphalt and you run this thing constantly like the way I do, you might want to start thinking about doing this. Tail wheel of RC plane, model planes, and you need to get a 44-45mm size. Do not go lower or bigger. This is just the right size. And you want to get a Dubro, which is proper rubber and is fully molded. There's no airspace inside. Yep. There you have it, you know. So 4.5 months running of fun, still competitive also. All weather. It could be raining, I can still drive it if I choose to. And if I had to choose one RC vehicle out of the entire lot, then this would be it for me personally at this moment. There are other projects I'm doing, who knows, but right now, hands down, no second guess, this is my favorite RC. I always enjoy picking it up and taking it for a run, and it's very competitive also. There's that. So hope this made some sense. Hope I've helped you a bit if you're one of the owners of this unit, and if you want to find out about my modifications, how I did it, have a scout through, you know, my channel, you know, or I'll try put a link in regards to all of that. But this is my personal setup. Yeah. Thank you, and keep on RCing and stay safe and just enjoy life, people. Enjoy RC and keep on keeping on. Blessings.